back. So today we are joined with businesswoman Julie Coates. Julie is the owner of the Lanes Health and Beauty, which has been running in Brighton now for nearly 22.
Yeah, nearly 22
years.
In August.
Yeah. I have been working with Julie for 10 years.
Must be. I've known you since you were 18.
Yeah.
Haven't I? So...
Yeah, so it's been a long time. But anyway, how are you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah. So just a backstory. Julie normally goes to bed at 5 o'clock and it's 7 o'clock, so we've pulled her out of bed.
Don't exaggerate. 5:30, 5:45.
Right, okay,
Don't exaggerate, okay.
Okay. So are you a bit tired or are you all right?
I'm a bit tired. I did have some sweets before I came up just to raise my E levels. Yeah.
So are you nervous about this or no?
I don't normally do stuff like this.
Yeah.
I suppose years ago I used to do little bits and pieces, so I haven't done anything for a long, long time.
Yeah, you were big in the PR industry, weren't you?
And a bit of TV stuff.
Yeah.
But I always found it quite difficult to do.
Why is that?
I don't like anything that's quite staged.
Yeah.
I'm quite a natural
this
person.
is the perfect environment for you then, isn't
Yeah.
it? So let's just start us off. So you had James. How old were you when you had him?
God, that means that everyone's going to know my age now. We didn't discuss that prior,
right, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to say how old James is now. He could be 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had James when I was 30.
Yeah.
31, I think it was. So I was quite an older mum, really.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
All right.
No, I mean, back then, now, people are having babies at like 35.
Yeah, I know. But back in the day, it was like all my mates had already had kids and I didn't even know if I wanted children. So I was quite a late comer to it all, really. And then when I was pregnant as well, I hated the whole pregnancy.
Really?
I hated that. It just wasn't enjoyable for me.
Like sick or was it more like your physical appearance you didn't
Physical appearance, and obviously there's so much more to information about pregnancy, and there's such a more support network now.
Yeah.
Back then there wasn't, you know?
Even down to the clothes as well.
Yeah,
they would have been really molly back then.
Everything.
I'm really making you sound old.
Fucking hell, I'm not about 80, you know. I'm 45 if I'm a day.
Yeah, there we go. No, but now you can get really good maternity stuff.
and not only that, there's lots of things that, people get together and they talk about things like social media. There's lots of things that you can listen to and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas there wasn't anything like that.
No.
I mean, it was a good thing that there was no social media because you didn't get yourself embarrassed. Obviously, that's the plus side to social media, that there's lots of information, lots of support out there that there wasn't back then.
You said your friends had them before you. Did you find that hard that you were the only one sort of pregnant at that time? Because I struggled with that when I had Ez, because none of my friends were pregnant and I just had her by myself in that respect. I had no one to really bounce off of.
I don't know. I suppose where I was married, it was just, I didn't really socialise with a lot of my friends back then, so I didn't know what I was missing. So I was working. I used to work for an insurance company, and so I was doing my thing, so I didn't really know what I was missing.
So you were working in an insurance company then. I know you've worked in beauty and stuff, but how did that all come about then? So
when I was younger, most of my weekends used to be spent on having facials and stuff, basically.
Yeah.
I used to research the market. I knew what worked, I knew what didn't work, and I just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That was my hobby, if you like.
Yeah.
So I worked for Eagle Star for about 11 or 12 years, and then when I had James, I went back to work because you only had 6 months off then, 6 months maternity leave, and you had to go back.
Right.
So again, that's a massive shock.
Yeah.
So when I went back, I had an option to take voluntary redundancy, which I did do. And then I got myself a part-time job working in Boots on a Sunday, and I absolutely bloody loved it. And I worked for Dior, Lancôme, all the big houses.
Oh, wow.
And the training was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
and I went back to college and I did beauty as well. But I did anatomy and physiology, which is quite a tough thing to do. And I left school really with not that many qualifications.
Well, no, that's why I ended up doing hairdressing, because I couldn't get onto the beauty.
Yeah.
Because I was too thick.
It's hard.
I couldn't get onto the course.
Yeah.
I mean, now I could, because I've retaken them, but at the time I would have preferred to go down the beauty route.
I mean, anatomy and physiology is bloody hard. Yeah. It's like A-level standard.
Yeah.
So, that was really the start. I've always loved beauty, but that was the start of it for me.
So obviously I know the backstory of how the Lanes Happen Beauty came to be, but just tell us about that, and how old was James when you started that?
So...
they'll be able to do the maths now.
Well, I really, really loved working in boots, and it was only like a Sunday job that I had. And I started off doing one Christmas session there, and I just fell in love with it. And then I thought, actually, I want to like explore this a little bit more. Again, back then, there wasn't fake tan was like something that I used to do quite a lot, because it was becoming more and more apparent about the damage of sunbeds, skin cancer, tanning, etc., etc. And I would always go on holiday and they'd be like, "Where's Julie?" And I'd be like in the hotel room fake tanning. And then I'd go out and had a really lovely tan. But that's the sort of thing I did. So there was a company that bought the rights to the first spray tanning booths from America. And it was a company in Ireland, actually, and it was an automated booth that actually did a full body spray tan in less than 60 seconds.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, well, I want to go and have a look at that. And it was so expensive, though. It was £58,000 when I bought it. And when I bought it, I didn't have anywhere to put it. The machine weighed 1 ton in weight. And it's like, I don't know what my thought process was. All I knew was, I want that, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to find somewhere where I can do it. Mm-hmm. And that's all there was to it.
Yeah.
So I went over to Londonderry, and again, that was quite a troubled part of Ireland back then.
Yeah.
And I went on my own, signed the deal, and I think I was about the 5th in the country to get this machine. And I'll tell you who had one as well. I don't know if you're aware of Heidi. Is it Heidi Klum? She's a big, I think it's big swimwear in London, in Notting Hill.
I'm thinking of Heidi Klum.
No. Can't even think how you say it now. But she was the first one to have it. She's a big swimwear and resort wear type of fashion. And she was one of the first ones to have it, and then me. So that's how I started. And then I built everything else based around that.
Yeah. So you found your shop. Tell us about that, because I remember you telling me.
Yeah, so one shop that I looked at fell through, and I literally thought, shit, I've just spent £58,000 on a self-tan booth. I've sold a property to do it, and I've got nowhere to put it. What am I going to do? And I was just walking around the lanes and thinking, and again, back then, that's what you used to do. If you wanted to buy property and you were lucky enough to be able to, which it was easier then, I would go round and think, well, that's a nice area. And I did the same when I was going to think about, where do I want to go? Where do you want to go? And where's probably the most expensive place you could go, the most historic place you can go is the Lanes in Brighton. Mm-hmm. So wandering around, it was raining really hard. I had flip-flops on, a tracksuit, I think it was. I wasn't looking my best. And then I saw this shop and I thought, well, I'll phone up and see what goes.
Yeah.
And again, back then, you had to pay a premium to be in a premises.
Right.
So we're on 58,000 at the moment, and then you've got to pay a premium to get into the shop. I think I found the paperwork the other day, actually, my mum did when she was clearing out her loft. 17,000 premium.
Wow.
Then you had to pay, I think, 3 months' rent in advance. And then obviously the premises needed completely refitting and redoing. And the machine weighed 1 ton in weight, so we had to re-strengthen the floors.
Wow.
So it was a massive project really.
Yeah.
But then you just take everything in your stride.
And how old was James then?
He was 3, I think, about 3.5.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing that now with Jude his age.
I know.
It's a big thing to do.
When I look back now, I think, you know, like I did miss out on quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask,
Yeah,
actually.
but
Do you feel like you've had to sacrifice stuff with him?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like I didn't, like my mum used to do the pick-up run a couple of times. I did it a couple of times. Then he did after-school clubs and stuff. But I found that quite tough actually later on in life. Not at the time.
No.
Because you're just too busy getting on with life.
Yeah.
And I think when you're in the thick of things, and this is what's quite sad sometimes, you're almost thinking like, oh, they're back to school tomorrow, or they're doing this, and you know, sometimes you wish your time away with them because you don't live in the moment. So, yeah, no, I found that really quite tough, and looking back now, I wish I'd have done a few more of the pickups and stuff like that. But then I think if I hadn't have done that, he wouldn't have
the life he's got now. I was going to say, do you think people can have it all?
No, the sacrifices you have to make. It's just I think if I'd have known at the time what a sacrifice it was, maybe I might have made a different decision.
Yeah.
But then I know now that it was the right decision going forward for the stability and financial,
definitely,
you know, for him. And he had a lovely life because it was all family, you know.
Yeah, it was
either
only
my
your mum,
my mum or my dad.
Yeah.
My dad used to take him to McDonald's on a Wednesday or whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, he did have a lovely time of it. It's more for me.
Yeah.
It's not. He never missed out.
Yeah, no, it is. I had that even with Ez, because although I didn't have, like, I've got my own business now, but I didn't when I had her. But where I was working then, I feel like, you know, there was, like, school plays and school trips I didn't go on.
Yeah.
Whereas now, because I'm obviously freelance, I can, even with you, I work with Judy on a Thursday. But if something came up, I know that she'd be flexible for me to say, oh, I've got Judy's, like when he had his photo shoot a couple of weeks ago, and I have to swap my days around, whereas I couldn't do that before. So I think I've learned that from having one to the other, that you don't ever get that time back, and it goes so quick that I really want to be present for him. And like, obviously I'm split with his dad, so I try and make sure that my 2 days off with him a week, we do something really nice.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that, not even for him, selfishly for me, so that I don't feel like I've missed out, because I know how quick it goes.
I wonder if mums actually, like, realise nowadays, like, mums are trying to juggle so many things. They're trying to work, they're trying to, like, do the home, and I just wonder if they feel the same as, like, how I felt, or how I feel now. But it's a hard one because you never get that time back again.
No, you're never going to get back. Everything else you can get back, like money, you can lose it and gain it.
Yeah,
you know.
It's a like as well. Like my mates used to think, like, dread the summer holidays coming up. You know, like what they're going to do. You know, with all. I'm not saying I did, but I know some of my friends used to dread that time. You know, because it's a lot of time that you have to keep the kids occupied for.
Entertained. I'll be honest, I'm dreading it coming up. More financially, because I'm just thinking, you know, with a teenager, they constantly want to go out, they want to do stuff. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, no, I actually enjoy having the one-on-one time with them when they're off. But again, I can say that because I only have them half the time.
Do you find Jude hard though? Do you find him like you don't? Is he?
He's the easiest little boy, but I think he's so on the go all the time, which is hard.
Yeah.
But he's not like, he never has tantrums.
No, James never.
No, I think boys are a different breed, aren't they?
James was the absolute perfect child.
Same as Jude.
Yeah, he never ever had a tantrum, I don't think, ever. He was so good.
And a question I was going to ask, obviously you're an only child.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what stemmed you on to having just one, because you're used to having, like, did you feel like you missed out on having siblings or no?
No, because I think you can always pick your friends, but you can't pick your family.
Yeah, definitely.
So although, like, my mum and dad are amazing, I, again, have got friends that I know that, like, I could be more like a sister to them.
Yeah.
And they can't pick their family.
Yeah.
So I don't feel that I ever missed out from that.
No. And did you only ever want one? Or is it where the business picked up?
I think it was a bit of both, really. It was... I just think you're so, like, you're just trying to get through life day by day.
Yeah.
You know, you don't actually... didn't analyse it or think about it. You know, like, I'll be thinking, right, well, I'm doing this today, or what you're going to do for dinner tonight, or what you're doing this weekend, or what's your childcare arrangements this week. You know, your mum's doing this and this, and dad's doing this. What are you doing? You know, what have you got to pick the pieces up from?
Yeah.
And it's one of those. It's like, I think you're so engrossed in what you're doing.
Before you know it, the time's gone.
Time's gone, and then you didn't really think about it.
No, and probably the time you think about it, there would have been such a big age gap as well.
Yeah.
As things started to probably get a little bit easier with the shop. So it does. I know that you're very much present there, but it does tick over now because it's been going for so long. So talk to us about when you moved over to the new premises.
So in 2002 was when I opened the salon. And then in 2006, so just before my lease was up, I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to buy a premises, which has been literally probably one of my, most saving graces in business, because that way I can control my expenses.
Yeah.
So I can control your rents, your rates, your salaries. Obviously, they're your biggest overheads. But by being able to control my rents by having a mortgage has been, it's been made me more successful.
Yeah.
So 2006 bought the premises. So it's like for people that don't know, it's like a 17th century fisherman's cottage. So in East Street, there's a taxi rank, and that used to be, I understand, a river years ago, and the fishermen used to moor their boats there and walk up to the cottages, which is where we are. It's an old fisherman's cottage, and then next door is El Bistro. I think that's the same sort of thing, 17th century, so it's all in the history books.
Yeah.
So, lucky enough to get hold of that. Again, lots of refurb fees, because it used to be a clothes shop, I think, before we had it. And people generally, I'm not saying everybody, but people generally, when they rent, they have a full repairing lease, but they don't spend money on it like it's when it's your own. You have to keep it how you want it to be.
Yeah.
So when someone's been in a premises renting previously, you normally find that there's a lot of work to do because they haven't spent the money on it. So and really from then on, we've sort of built the business around how we originally started. So we had the tanning machine. My mum actually helped me. She was a nail technician there, so we had a nail bar. And then we just built, I suppose, where I've done my business differently. I know I've had big chunks of outlay, but a lot of people spend beyond their means, where I've added things on as I've gone along.
Yeah.
So when I can afford to buy something, I'd buy new equipment.
Yeah.
Without spending. 20 years ago when I was buying IPL machines, they were £40,000. I was always ahead of my years.
Yeah.
And people really didn't know about that sort of thing at the time.
Yeah.
They do now, but they didn't back then.
Yeah.
So, I always think they must have lots of finance, whereas I've never had any of that. I've always earned, bought, and gone on to the next
I think that's
thing.
the secret to success there, isn't it?
It is really.
Yeah, because I don't mean to throw any shade at anyone. I know running a business is, really hard work, but you do see so many people opening and closing because of that. And, COVID didn't help as well.
Well, you worked in that salon previously, just up the road from us, didn't you?
Yeah.
And that was a really nice salon.
Really nice salon.
They had nice kit and equipment in there, but it didn't last very long, did it?
No, the rent was just too much.
Yeah.
The person that I worked with before you, he massively lived beyond his means. He wanted to have the best of everything.
Yeah.
Our pedicure chairs were thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. They were like fully massaging.
Yeah.
You know, the balls that are inside.
Yeah.
Glow up bowls. It was honestly incredible.
Yeah.
Stunning salon.
Yeah.
But honestly, we were probably there for a year maybe. And it was because, again, like you say, they want to show off, you know, that they've got the best, which is great.
Yeah.
But you need the custom there to do it. And in the end, they discounted everything from Monday, Tuesday and Wednesdays, 50% off of everything, which meant no one was booking in on the other days. That's one thing about you as well. You do an offer, but you don't sell yourself short, which I think a lot of people do. If you can find a discount all the time on stuff, people are going to wait for that. They're not going to pay the full price of things either.
Well, it's like Groupon. You don't really hear a lot about Groupon anymore.
No, you don't.
I wonder that just comes to my mind then. I haven't seen them for ages.
I think even my business, like the social media side, that wasn't around back then. So Groupon took on a lot of that, whereas now people advertise. I mean, I done your social media back then.
Yeah.
It was still going on then, but I don't think it was as big now. People can do that themselves or get a social media manager, and that's going to direct them better than a Groupon ad that's discounted anyway. And you know, when we used to work at the other salon, they done Groupons there and they only get 50% of the charge that they're actually charging anyway. So it was not worth it. Like, it really, really wasn't. You say if you were given a massage for £30, you'd only get £15 of that.
It's what happens is you start to devalue your business, but also as well, I see people like putting their charges up so much with things that they could be absorbing within their own costs.
That's one thing you do really well, I think.
It's all dependent on how big the premises are and how many staff and all the rest of it, that I suppose it matters. But you can shop around for stock. You can bulk buy. You have to do the best you can to offer the best value for money that you can at a price that you're happy, that you're making a good profit on, and that you can run a good business. Yeah.
So obviously we're going into summer now.
Yeah.
What are you seeing a big trend on for summer beauty?
I think machinery is taken over quite a lot. It used to be a lot of hands-on facials, and hands-on facials are lovely, they're luxurious, they're really relaxing, but people are really results-driven now, and you cannot get results-driven treatments with just product alone, because you're just applying product on product on product. And I see so many girls on social media just whacking serums on, and it's like there's only so much that your skin can absorb. So machinery is a big trend, and that will continue going forward. Nails were really popular. They've fallen off quite a lot. It's really funny. When we first started, it was obviously tanning and nails. Nails and waxing have always been big trends, but now obviously a lot of people have IPL hair reduction or laser hair removal. So you have to move and you have to change with the trends. So I think that's what we try and do. You always got to try and evolve. So it's different forms of exfoliating, whether it be acids, whether it be machinery, microdermabrasion, hydrofacials. They're always really popular. It just depends what people are doing. If they're going on holiday, they'll have a mani-pedi and a nice facial. Some people, coming up to the summer might do some radio frequency skin tightening or body wraps. It's having that nice range of treatments that you've got something that will suit everybody.
Everyone. And what would you say is your beauty must-have?
Acids. Acids. I love acids. So I love acid toners. You can get them. You can get really expensive ones. Pixie tonic's quite a nice tonic. Paula's Choice, that's a very good tonic. But I love acid toners. I love glycolic peels. Anything like that. And what about your specific favourite treatment in the salon? I know you have them all. I like a bit of everything, really. I like a bit of dermaplaning. I mix and match. I like glycolic peels. Hydrofacials are so popular, really popular. But I bespoke everything.
Yeah.
So I'll just do a bit of everything for me.
And how do you feel like your team has evolved at the Lanes Health and Beauty over the years?
Well, I think that's like one of the most important factors of business. You should always employ people that are better than you at doing the job.
Yeah.
Because
they'll have a shot to their ears when they hear that.
Shall we edit that out?
Yeah, no. It's nice to hear that.
No, but they are.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, I'll always guide them and I'll bespoke things and I'll there's no...
You're like their mentor, really.
There's no one that knows more about it than me.
Yeah.
But they can do it better than I can.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest things. Your staff have got to be better at doing the job than you are.
Yeah. And I will say, I've worked with you with many, many teams. I do think you've got a really good team at the moment.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
So lucky. But we're like a family, though, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I mean, even like our nights out and stuff like that. Yeah, it is a really, really nice team. And do you know what I like with you as well? Even when girls have like left the salon for whatever reason, if they've had babies, if they wanted to try a different place, if they've gone on to want to start their own business and it's not worked out for whatever reason, you're always welcoming them back with open arms.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't do that. They're like, right, that's it, and they cut them off there and then, but you've always been like that.
I think the thing is, it's like you do change and evolve through life. I'm not the same person that I was when I was 30. I was quite hard when I was 30. I'm quite soft now. And I think, like, you just grow into yourself as a person.
Yeah.
And I think life happens and you go through different factors of your life and you evolve differently. So I think I probably treat people differently to how I did when I was 30.
Yeah.
And I think that's like anybody. You just how I probably would look at myself back then is I was quite inexperienced in managing people and the whole business, and you're just like developing and finding like one day at a time for yourself. So it's quite a struggle. And then it's not until you're a bit older that you actually think, I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
So I know more what I'm doing now than I did back then.
Yeah. You're saying that you're softer now. You're into a bit more like spiritual stuff now, aren't you? If you manifest.
I do manifest, but I've always I look at it this way. If I want something, I'll go and get it.
Yeah.
So really that's manifesting.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it for years.
Well, yeah, like the spray tan machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
you knew you were going to find somewhere.
Where was I going to put a machine that weighed a ton for 58 grand,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you want something, you've got to go and get it. So all this new titles to it, manifestation, the 7 steps and all the rest of it, I think is amazing. I do think you should be grateful for everything that you have.
Yeah.
And I do practice gratitude quite a lot. But, I've always done it. I just didn't have a label.
Yeah.
So many things in life have labels now.
Yeah.
And I haven't, didn't put a label to it at the time.
Yeah.
But yes, I am very spiritual.
What advice would you give your younger self now?
I think don't be afraid if you want to try something and you've got good ideas, just keep going. Keep going. And, obviously you've got to do your homework, and probably I wouldn't recommend somebody does what I actually did because it was a bit stupid in hindsight.
Yeah.
But because I know that I can, if I want something, I'll go and get it. I will see it through. So you have to be able to have that, motivation and strength of character to be able to see things through. Definitely. Whether I do the same now, I don't know.
Would you go back and change anything in your life?
Only probably to have spent more time with James.
Yeah.
That would be the only thing.
I've always been told that boys aren't close with their mums when they get older, and obviously I'm one of 4 girls. We've all got girls. This is my first boy in the family.
Yeah.
How is his relationship with you now that he's older?
Oh, really close.
Yeah.
Really close. It's a funny relationship with boys because obviously I think girls always have their mums and a mum never loses the girl. But you always lose a boy to a girl, if you get what I mean. but I'm always like, I'll go and I'll moan to my dad about James because we're so close. You know, and I try and help him with stuff in business. Obviously, he's a gas engineer, so he's very, very good at what he does. I just help him on the business side of things. So, like, I'll moan that he hasn't answered the phone or whatever to me.
Yeah.
And my dad always, like, teases me about it because normally I'm like, oh, my perfect prince.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
do always say
oh,
that.
my God, he hasn't phoned me, Dad. I'm so annoyed. But I normally swear about it. But it's quite funny because I think, like, boys, you do, it's just if you're lucky enough, I think, to gain like a girlfriend that really is into like your side of the family as well.
Which he has found.
Yeah, so that's really nice.
Yeah.
I feel very lucky.
And how are you feeling about being a grandmother? Not that that's happening anytime soon, but how are you feeling about that? Do you feel like you'll be like quite mumsy with that baby?
I don't know. People do say like being a grandparent is amazing, but I'm not actually wishing to discuss that at my time.
No
of
comment.
life.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I've picked out my buggy and everything.
Are you
Picked out my Dior buggy.
Yeah, there you go. Are you gonna be like how your mum is with the school pick up and drop offs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that, and maybe that's my time when I'll enjoy it again.
Definitely. Yeah, you can get that back
Because
with the baby.
you do forget. I see it a lot now. Like, I don't know if it's like, is it like you have 18 summers? What, I don't know if it's 18 summers, because whether they would spend the whole summer with you up until they're 18
I think
is
it's
another
about
story.
15 and then that's it.
And it's like, it's so true.
Yeah, it goes so
true.
quick.
But I mean, I was always really lucky because like James always had a lot of mates, and I would have like 10 or 11 boys around the house playing football in the garden.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, it was all very nice. I think where I was missing when I was busy setting up the business was like those primary school years. That's what I missed, those baby school pickups.
But as you say, your closeness now, that bond is still there regardless anyway. And I'm sure he's very grateful to have everything he's got. And yeah,
absolutely better
I would be. I'm just annoyed now he's got the girlfriend. I don't get anything in the wheel.
No.
I'm joking. Right, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you on Instagram?
Yeah, you can find us on the Lane's Health and Beauty on the Instagram, and the Facebook.
And on the website, if you do a .com on that as well.
Yeah. So,
I'll just let them know as well. They've got an offer on their hydrofacial there at the moment. It is usually $85 and it's on offer for $65 up until the end of June.
Such a great all-round facial that is. If you're looking for deep cleansing, extraction, skin tightening, brightening, lymphatic drainage, probably one of the best facials you'll have. That is.
It's definitely the most popular at the moment in the salon. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, no,
I'm sure it's going to be a very listened to episode. People always want to know about the beauty industry.
Yeah.
And they'll want to know your backstory as well.
Well, I hope so. It's quite interesting. Well, you know me, but edit it well, Kaylee.
I will.
Please.
Don't you worry. Make sure you're following the podcast on Instagram and TikTok. We are at Mummahood the Podcast, and you can follow us on YouTube and subscribe to watch all of the videos of the episodes. And I'll be back same time next week. Love you, bye.